How's it, everyone? JoJo here from Rifles, Rods, and Broads, and we are back for another episode. Langosta, great to see you.
What's up, JoJo?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Right on.
I'm pretty excited that we're finally, after such a long time talking about it, we are actually going to do your unboxing from your package from Montana.
We are going to unbox the package from Montana, the Montana Knife Company. We are going to see what came in the mail.
What could it be?
What could it be?
So don't go anywhere. We got a good show. We're going to be talking about reloading. We're going to be talking about post-season activities.
What we do in the off-season.
Yeah. So,
Episode 18 is here.
Episode 18, man. What's up, guys?
How's it?
Episode 18.
2 away from 20.
Yes, sir. So today we have a surprise package. But what are we going to talk about first before we go into the package?
The unboxing. We are going to talk about where we are in terms of the year. It is the off season.
Okay, so as of the filming, we're on the tail end of February.
We are, and President's Day is behind us. So if you've missed the sales, because purchasing is a part of the off season.
Yeah.
And like you, I think I'm a long-term purchaser.
I'm a long-term purchaser.
What, define a long-term purchaser.
So look, I hate buying stuff at retail, and the stuff that I buy many times is a little bit pricey, right? So I hate that. Everybody, everybody at the club probably thinks that, like, Alex lives all this fancy shit and and oh, I can't believe he paid that for that. But for the most part, I thrive on a 50% off MSRP.
You can't beat that,
right? So the way that I look at it, if you buy a firearm or you buy gear, any part of your kit, and you're getting a 30-40% discount at what you've seen it at for months, then that's a opportunity to hit the button, hit the buy button, buy.
And that's when your email inbox just gets filled up with these sales. And it's the biggest sale of the year. It's the first of 5 biggest sales of the year, because it just seems like every company that's out there advertises the biggest sale of the year at least 5 times. So you kind of question which one is actually the biggest sale of the year.
I don't know. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not a big retail buyer like a retail store. I normally buy stuff used.
Really?
Like, when it comes to guns, I buy guns. Most of the guns I buy are used on Gunbroker.
I've kind of been learning that.
Yeah. Well, that's where the deals are. And that, there's a lot of stuff that people buy that they get enamored with, and they have it for a little while, and they hardly use it, and then they sell it.
So I get nervous whenever I buy anything used. So I'd say I'm a new purchaser guy.
Okay.
And as a long-term purchaser,
I'm a long-term
or a long-range purchaser.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, that every single day that I come home, there's 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
At least 360 of them, there's a package waiting
at your house
at the door.
Right
or
on.
I get a notification that's like, oh, this has been delivered. This has been delivered.
Right.
And it's either, my package or Pua's package that's at the door. So when there isn't anything there, I kind of get nervous, and I take
anxiety.
a look at the cameras and see if, something was stolen, and maybe I could have one of those viral reels of somebody, porch pirating something off of the balcony.
Well, dude, I'm so bad about that sometimes that I get stuff at the house and I don't even know what the fuck it is.
Yep.
Like, well, there's a package. I don't even know what that looks like.
Been there.
Especially the stuff that's like on a delay purchase. But
living in like an apartment complex too, it's kind of giving me my own complex. When I get home, I'm like,
somebody jacked my shit.
Or not only that, it's just like, how come they don't get boxes at their door every day? Like, am I weird? What?
I don't know. It's kind of like that at my house. I saw like the camera. I had like a Chewy box, and it's all this shit always on the porch. But
I tell you what.
But I am a used buyer. Yeah, I mean, I won't buy like used Band-Aids or anything like that. But for the most part, when it comes to guns,
look, I've got some used Band-Aids.
Yeah.
So if anybody's out
discounted
there
here,
on
it's like 90% off.
Yeah. So if there's any OnlyFans
No
page
blood on this one.
used Band-Aids. If there's an audience, let me know. Then I'll hook you up with some used bandages.
I do have my limitations. But look, if it's scopes, rings, magazines, gear, like even like leather bags, like for like travel. Like I have these old leather briefcases. I've got a bunch of old gun like rifle scabbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff. I have a nice leather rifle case that I got for like $150. It's probably a $700 piece.
So when you're shopping for used stuff, are you priding yourself on like the things, the magical finds that you're able to come up with?
Well, I think that's part of the delight, not getting it at full retail. I think the bigger driver for me is like, okay, so let's take an example of a gun case. I can't make sense of spending $750 on a Murray's leather rifle case.
It's crazy.
If you look at them, they're freaking beautiful. It's the Louis Vuitton of like gun storage, right? But I can't bring myself to pay that. Like there's no scenario where that's a good idea.
So what are you paying for one that's used?
So I bought that one for $150. So it wasn't a Murray's leather. It was another leather maker in the West. It could have been in Montana or something like that. But it was on eBay, and it was like $150. And people die, and when you die, they sell all your shit, and you're probably rolling around in your grave that they sold your shit for $150. But their loss is my gain.
And when you talk about like buying used stuff, especially when it comes to guns, when it comes to bows, there's a lot of people out there that use their stuff every single day, but there's probably more people out there that purchase, put into their safe, and don't ever use.
I think that's the norm. A lot of one of the most recent. So look, I've purchased like holsters, leather holsters, Bianchi holsters from the 90s.
Yeah.
Great shape. It was in the bin at a Bolsa gun store. I think it was like $7. Wow. It was like a $150 holster, right? So I'm always kind of digging through that stuff, and I'll go in the gun stores. It's really funny. I will go to gun stores that sell used guns, and there's always little nuggets in there. In fact, when you leave like out of LA, like that one gun store over in San Luis Obispo where I bought the Berettas. I didn't need a Beretta. I bought two.
Palos, where did you?
It was in wine country. Pasos Robles.
There you go, Pasos Robles.
Yes. Yeah, I went in this cool, I think it's Roosters gun store, gun gallery there.
Yeah.
Cool people, super nice people, and they had a ton of used guns. They probably had 30% of their inventory was used guns. So, man, I got two Berettas for $400 each. That's a deal.
Where was your tipping point? So I read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point, where it's a great freaking book, man. And there comes a point in time where it's like, okay, you get up to this peak, and then there's that tipping point where you just kind of go over and things change. Yeah. Because I will tell you, I am not a used purchaser.
Yeah.
And after this episode, I can tell you that based off of this information, my wife's going to be asking me, well, have you looked at anything used? Because Langosta says that you should look at used stuff.
I do. I dig it, man. Look, those two Berettas, I'll put it to like this. There's, out of all the used guns that I've bought, there's only one I have that looked like it was shot a lot. I have shot more rounds through the used guns that I've purchased than they ever had, and sometimes there were two owners before me.
Wow.
So it's really all about condition, right? Like if it's a good quality gun, like let's say, okay, you're here in California, right? So if you wanted to get a collectible Smith & Wesson revolver, we've started this new episode for you guys that haven't seen.
I love it.
Wheel Gun Wednesdays, right?
Wheel Gun Wednesdays. What a hit, man.
So some of the really nice, what I consider kind of vintage, rockin' old school cool revolvers are from the 80s and the 90s and some of the 70s, right? So if you're here in California, you got no choice. You have to buy it used. You have to buy a private party, right? So that means you could find it on Gunbroker, a local, somebody here in California that's selling it. Lock, Stock, and Barrel in CP Malley is a big FFL that will sell consignment guns out there. So I always have them, saved on my little Gunbroker.
Is that all? It's all online.
It's all online, but they have a physical office in Simi Valley, right? Okay. So if you're a California resident and you want to get vintage guns, off-roster guns, they're never going to go back on the raw. I mean, no one's going to, Smith & Wesson's not going to pay California the testing fees and all this stuff for a gun made in the 80s.
Just not happening.
So if you wanted to get something like that, something cool like that, if you wanted any of the Colt 1911s, anything that is considered vintage, badass, old school, cool. You're gonna have to get it secondhand. You're gonna have to get it. You're gonna have to get it pre-handled.
As you're talking about this, I'm just imagining like this segment with you dressed up in like 80s attire, holding this gun with like that 80s film filter.
We could do that. We could do that. It doesn't have to be a filter.
with some 80s music in the background, some old school Hollywood cinema magic. But
yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. So let's talk about used guns for a little while.
Sure.
What piques your interest when you are researching a used gun online? Because you can't necessarily, hold the gun, feel the gun, look at the gun. So what makes you nervous and what makes you like happy when you see something that you want?
I think that's a good question. For the most part, the descriptions are very accurate. In fact, the sellers will tell you everything that they see negative about it because they don't want you to send that shit back, right? So they're like, hey, listen, dude, this is what you got. It's got a scratch here. It's got a blem there. It's got this. It's got that. The stocks are cracked, blah, 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 whatever. So for the most part, I found the people, especially people that sell on GunBroker often, that have a lot of ratings, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some people that have like 5,000 transactions,
Okay. And they're all rated. So it's like, hey, this seller, like an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Right? Like if somebody pulled up to me in an Uber and was rated for 1.5 stars, I'd say like, F you, turn around. I'm grabbing somebody else.
Well, yes. So I would say of all of my transactions on GunBroker, and they've all gone to local FFL here and all that stuff. That's not the problem. The problem is the scammer. So I just came across my first scammer last year.
Really?
Yeah. There was this
Did
guy
the phone number start with like the +63?
No.
Blah, 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 blah.
So he had no transactions on his record, and he was supposedly selling a staccato.
Okay.
Private party. And man, when I called him, he had like, fuck, I hate to say this, dude. I hate to say this out loud, but he had like a fucking Nigerian accent, bro. Like it just didn't sound right. Like his name was John Smith or something on there. And he had like it wasn't fucking John Smith, bro.
Would you like to hunt hippos?
I was like, what? And I'm like, hey man, why are you selling this thing? Oh, it's good. It's good. And I said, why don't you tell me what's the worst thing about it that you did? Did you like shooting? He's like, oh, it shoots okay. And like, dude, anybody who shot a staccato doesn't say it shoots okay.
Okay.
Right. So it was just a lot of stuff that didn't sound right. Right. So I did a reverse search on the image, and that gun was sold like 3 years before that.
Oh,
it was an image that was posted on a forum somewhere, and he put it in there. And it's funny because it had like it had a very specific backdrop. Like many of the guns that they just have like a white, a white background or a red tablecloth or something like that, right? Well, his had like there was something, it would look like it was in somebody's couch. Like it was like somebody was on a forum, went out to their couch, took a picture of their gun and posted it and started talking about whatever they were talking about, right? Well, he got that picture. That was his picture. And
how long ago was this?
This was beginning of last year. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was really looking hard for a staccato. I've been looking for a staccato probably for 3 years.
4 staccatos later.
Staccato. I love that fucking gun. Anyway, so that was one thing. I would always recommend you do a reverse search on the image. And the other kind of buyers beware was that it was a lot cheaper. It was a lot cheaper. They're kind of going towards your greedy side. So
they threw that bait out there, and they're just reeling it in with small little twitches.
Yeah. So I think that gun was listed for, oh man, it was cheap. It was like $1,800. And the MSRP on it is what, 25? And a lot of the people that sell those that are local here in Cali they're going to be asking for 4K plus, right? So I was just like, I bid on it. And then I'm like, I send him a message. And then I'm like, hey, man, I want to talk to you. And man, when he picked up the phone and he came up with his fucking foreign accent, it was like, yeah.
Ooh, sketch alert.
Red alert. Yeah. So anyway, other than that, if you come across buyers that have a lot of ratings and stuff, you're gonna be pretty cool. Now, I didn't know this until this kind of got the wheels turning, because I thought that when you buy a transaction on GunBroker, you will be covered for the value of the gun, like you are when you purchase things on eBay.
What do you mean the value of the gun? Oh, the value of the gun.
Yeah, let's say I send this asshole, $2,000, and he tells me to fucking goes dark on me.
Yeah,
like if you're buying Bitcoins in the dark alley or something. So GunBroker only covers $500. So you really have to ask a couple questions and just make sure that you feel good about the transaction.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So how did it make you feel when you knew you were being scammed?
Oh, it was good. I totally was belligerent by text with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after I talked to him, I'm like, hey, I found your video, you scamming, you scammer asshole. I found your picture on this forum and I did a screenshot of that. You can go fuck yourself. I'm not sending you any money. He's like, he responds like, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm like, I get on there with the gun broker. I'm like, hey, dude, you got to cancel this asshole. You got to cancel this guy.
Don't apologize.
And so gun broker responded right away that they were looking into, and they paused the listing.
Yeah,
because he relisted after I told him to go fuck himself. So when I saw it the next morning, that's when I hit up gun broker, the whatever you call it, the censors or whatever, the people that are the watchdogs there.
Yeah,
and they froze his stuff and they looked into it, and I'm assuming they took it off because he disappeared.
Awesome.
And went back to Nigeria.
So, what percentage of the weapons that you have are used?
Well, that's a good question. Well, look, I think people have a bit of misconception. I don't have that many. So I would say a lot of the probably 60% now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have like an inclination to like purchase more? Are you more comfortable with purchasing used pistols, used rifles, used shotguns, or you don't care? Anything that's used, you're more than comfortable
as long
purchasing,
as the condition's
as long
good.
as you know.
As long as the condition's good. Like, look, those the 12 gauge Spanish shotguns that I got. The
ones we shot at more and more.
Yeah, the Garbies. I got them for $1,400, $1,200 for the other one.
Okay.
There's nothing there, Garby, on Gunbroker for less than 4 G's now.
So what's the new price on one of those?
Like 8, 10.
Damn.
With all that engraving? Yeah, 10,
Damn.
15.
I'd be divorced if I ever spent that much money.
Yeah, well, I can't make sense of buying that at that price. But for $1,200, I'll do it.
Wow.
I mean, and they shoot the lockup. You shot them. It has not been shot a lot.
Yeah.
I'm convinced I have shot more with each of those shotguns than the owners ever did.
And you know what's crazy about buying new versus used is that really when you buy new, it's just that fleeting feeling of like you're the first, like you're divergenizing.
Yeah. No,
whatever it is, whether it's guns or anything else.
Aaron is like that about guns. He's like, no, I wanna break her in.
That feeling goes away instantly after one day, and now you're shooting a used gun.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I've gotten such good deals on some of that stuff that, look, case in point, the Garbies, I would not buy them. I would not have them. Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't. I'd have like a Browning Satori that's $1,500. That's what I would have. I would not have a 15,000. Well, I don't know that they're worth 15 grand, but if you were to buy the used ones now, even the used ones now, they'd be probably $4,200, right? So I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't
for
buy
a used Garby shotgun.
I wouldn't buy 2 of them at 4 G's a piece. I mean,
yeah.
I just can't make sense of that. But at $1,200, yeah, I'll buy that. It's and as far as like bolt guns, bolt guns are really easy to tell how much they've been shot. When you look at the bolt and the bolt still has the bluing, it hasn't been shot much.
Okay.
Like you could easily see that
sign
on your camera. Yeah, on the camera from the pictures. When they take that bolt out, and sometimes when they don't have a picture of the bolt, I'll ask them for it. And I'm saying, can you do me a favor? Send me a picture without having a lot of light on it. Of the front and the back of the bolt, just roll it over, and I just want to see what the bolt looks like. Because you can't shoot a gun a lot without scratching. Like all of the ones that had the bluing on the bolt that I own, that I've shot, don't have the bluing anymore. Like all the used guns. So that's why I'm convinced that I've shot more with them than the owners did.
So I got a question for you. So I've known you for the past 6 years, and I've heard you say that this is going to be the last gun that I purchased maybe about 40 times.
Yeah.
What is the next last gun that you're gonna purchase? What are you like when you put that cursor into the search bar at Gunbroker? What's your most recent search?
Well, JoJo, look, man, I'm with guns as Casanova was with women.
Okay,
one wasn't enough, and it's hard to say how many is too many. So
not in your dictionary or vocabulary.
So I don't know. I would say I've got a couple of things that I'm in the works right now. I think it's So okay, the last time we talked about, I think the next things are going to be accessories.
Okay.
To get right. So I could be talked into buying a 6.5 Creedmoor bolt gun.
Really?
For hunting, yeah, I could be talked into doing that.
So what's talked you into doing it yourself? Like, why the 6.5 Creedmoor?
Well, the rifle setup is very nice, and it's
Do you
very
have one?
light. I have a 6.5 Creedmoor AR-10 that I built.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't have like a 6.5 Creedmoor hunting rifle that you're going to take out.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've been eyeballing a used one
Okay.
on Turner's website. I just can't. They want $4,000. It's a GA Precision. It's a badass. It's a Templar 4 or something like that. But it's one of those guns that like it all goes in a ragged hole. But I just can't make sense of spending $4,000 on it.
So I know you're a big fan of HS Precision. How many HS Precision 6.5 Creedmoors are there out there?
None. I would have. Well, I was actually bidding on one and I let her go. It was a newer one too. Actually, it was a 6.5 PRC. That's why I didn't like. I don't want a lot. I don't want more calibers to load for. Like it's just a big drain to have to get brass. Like I basically right now what I'm loading for is 308, the big bore stuff for Africa. So 416 Rigby, 500. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get another specialty caliber where I have to get a bunch of specialty reloading components.
So talking about reloading and being in the off season, is this kind of the time that you start that process? Are you constantly reloading, or during the off season, it's like, oh, let's ramp it up. There's not much out there that I'm going to be killing. So let's start reloading for the season.
Well, the garage is also a little cooler in there. So it's a little bit better to be in there for a while than in the straight summer. I think that I rotate in my interests of some of the pieces in my collection. So like I've got stuff that's the lever action, single action, cowboy action type genre. I've got a couple tactical stuff. I've got some traditional hunting things. And then I got the African guns. And then I've got like a couple different revolvers and different like pistols and stuff like that. So as I'm writing an article for our website on riflesrodsandbroads.com, by the way, if you haven't checked that out. So I had that single action revolver made. I put that order in like 3 years ago. It was my gun, and they customized it the way that I wanted. It basically had an old Ruger single action aluminum frame, kind of crappy $300 gun, and they turned it into an amazing, beautiful piece of artwork at Tyler Gunworks, Bobby Tyler. So my genre so this article that I'm writing is about the tribute to Elmer Keith, and he's the godfather of the 44 Magnum and the 357 Magnum. So I ordered some lead cast bullets from Montana Bullet Works, which should be here Friday.
Okay.
And I wrote the body of the article about the gun, and now I'm going to write the next part of it is going to be the formulation of the perfect bullet. And the idea is that I'm going to try and shoot like Elmer Keith did and shoot at a torso-sized target at 200 yards.
When it comes to guns and hunting, if your name is Elmer, you're fucking officially badass.
He is a badass.
Is he a rabbit hunter?
He was a little dude with a big hat. But he wrote a lot about he was also an outfitter out in the West. I think he worked a few different states. He was in. He's known for ending at the tail end of his life. He was in Idaho. Anyway, long story short, Elmer Keith and his gun collection. In fact, his number 5 revolver. Okay. Just sold to a second buyer for $160,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was his full customization, and I can't believe his family sold that.
$160,000.
Yeah, the first sale was $80,000, and they just sold, I think, a year or two ago for $160,000.
So, what kind of person purchases that gun for $160,000?
A collector, yeah. I mean, a collector, somebody that there's people that collect the history, right? The history and the genres of African hunting, the histories and genre of the Old West.
Yeah,
and Elmer Keith was heavily documented, right? That gun was. He wrote for a few of the different magazines. So that gun was featured on a few, maybe a couple covers, and over the years, it was well publicized and it was kind of a famous gun, right? So yeah, they bought it. They probably have it in some case at their home office or something like that, and they just look at it and rub her down and hold her and put her back away. But anyway, the article is really walking through the modern day artistic to be an amazing gunsmith. Those guys over at Bobby Tyler Gunworks, they do some pretty cool stuff.
Where's that at?
In Texas, in Friona, Texas.
Okay, that's where you got your pistol.
That's where I dropped off that pistol, and then later I got they've done a couple projects for me. Yeah. So this last part is going to be a hand casted bullet made by the guys at Montana Bullet Works, and I'm going to put together a nice little a nice load that's accurate, and it's going to be old school cool, man. Just a lead cast bullet, semi-wad cutter, and we're going to bang some steel and bang some paper. And I don't know. I hope you guys like it. It's taking me a long time to write all that stuff, but for me, it's one of the enjoyments of having guns.
Yeah.
I love just shooting, and it doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. But I also like kind of going deep diving and having a thorough understanding of where the pedigree of a caliber comes from, and who were the famous people that had these guns, and stuff like that.
Well, talking with you, you can obviously sense the passion that you have in everything that you own in terms of guns and reloading and everything like that. And there's a lot of people out there that do that, and yeah, I mean, props to you.
Oh, thanks. It's the fineness of hand making things, like the guys that make the grips out of like mammoth ivory. You can't get elephant ivory anymore, but you can get mammoth ivory, and just making.
Why are mammoths just more readily available on the land?
Well, there's no band per 1940 whatever the ivory ban, because they used to put ivory in everything. They had piano keys made out of them. So it's been dead 15,000 years. Who cares? Oh, some people care.
Well, there was one last week pulled up frozen.
It's not like you're whacking out mammoth.
They're already gone. It's petrified mammoth ivory.
Anyway, so when those guys make some really cool grips out of them, and they engrave it, and they tune the action, and they do everything they can to make it as accurate as possible, it's pretty neat. I think it's something that it's what makes it special, right? Versus just getting something that was mass produced.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it turns out. But I'm excited that I ordered some bullets for the 44 mag, for the 45 long Colt, and for 357 mag.
So coming out of COVID, obviously during the COVID days, there was a lot of issues with supply versus demand, right? Demand was high, supply was low, and then coming out of COVID, things started to kind of catch up, and everybody knows and has their own experience with that whole deal. But in terms of like reloading, because I know that was a big factor. I couldn't find the primers. There wasn't powder out there. Yeah. How's the market right now for everything that you need when it comes to reloading?
It's flush. I think Trump's worst gun salesman ever. I mean, I don't think that whole panic buying is there. It's in fact, you see that some ammunition prices is coming down. 9mm is down to $15 again.
Yeah,
it hovered $20 for a long time. So I found some stuff online for $12, $11, stuff like that.
So we're in a good place.
I think for right now, these are commodities, right? So I think it's probably prudent for people to have, I was reading an article, and I was actually watching a YouTube video on how much ammo should you have. Mm-hmm. So this guy came up with something that's very reasonable. I thought. He said, well, look, you calculate what you shot last year total in boxes, and just have that. And if you want to, just let's say you go and you shoot 4 or 5 boxes, next month buy 4 or 5 boxes so you have that as your inventory. So that way if you feel like going shooting and you don't want to pay a 30% or 40% premium, just shoot the stuff out of your stash, and you can replace it later, but you're not going to be under the gun. You're sure as hell not going to be asking, your buddy to, sell you some, or I don't know, to help you out with some ammo. Especially when it's, if it's harder to get a hold of. So COVID was really rough on primers. That was really rough to find primers.
Yeah, that's what I heard a lot. Like nobody could find primers, and if you found primers because a store or a shop just received their shipment, they were gone like that. The moment that somebody lucked out into the fact that they arrived that day.
And then they would resell them at double the price, which is really an asshole move.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's starting to come down. Like I saw at Turner's recently, I saw lots of primer, all different brands and different configurations. You know, they were hovering around $100, so they're down to 80, 70. I think I even saw another box for 70 for 1,000. So remember, pre-COVID, that was a $40, $45 for 1,000. So it's still double what it was pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. But I think it peaked at 1.5 times, and the match stuff, the match grade stuff, that was like at 2-3 times. I was like, dude, I'm not paying that. I don't care. I have enough to make do. I don't, so like I said, I always kept enough to make enough to go shoot for myself. I took my family recently, and oh my God, it's they'll bang in your stash down low, but they start shooting that stuff crazy. So I don't know. I'm gonna put them on a diet of 22 long rifle.
There's no short supply of that.
That's what I spent. I spent the weekend reloading this weekend, and I loaded for the 500 Smith & Wesson and 357 Magnum and 45 Colt. I got to get some more brass to do 44 mag.
When you talk about like reloading for the weekend, so how many rounds did you load?
Well, they're all handmade. So I've got a couple of progressive machines that I can make a lot more. Mm-hmm. I didn't relatively make a tremendous amount. I made 50 500 Smith & Wesson, which are extremely expensive to buy. Uh-huh. I think it's 20 rounds for like $50-$60. So I made 50 of those. I made 200 Smith & Wesson in 2 different caliber, 2 different bullet types, and I made 200. I made 100 45 long Colt with 2 different bullets. So when I get the Montana Bullet Works, I'll probably before our thing on Saturday starts, I'll reload in the morning, see if I can get started on the Montana Bullet Works ones.
I saw the email that Speakeasy said that somebody's wanting to donate some reloading setups to the club.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was an email that said basically that somebody reached out to the club and said to the Redondo Rod and Gun Club that they're going to be donating some reloading machines.
I'll have to pick through that. Look, I think reloading for me was a big eye opener. It can be less expensive, but you're going to give up your time. Yeah. But that's not the real reason to do it, I think. The real reason is you can really make your firearm shoot a lot better than they would with factory ammo. Because you can really tailor the speed and the type of bullet with whatever that particular firearm really likes. So you can do things that people can't do.
Well, I've heard other stories to that point where, people would be shooting factory rounds through their rifle, and they'll basically give up on the gun and not necessarily test the fact that, like, hey, maybe it's not the gun. Yeah. Maybe it's just the bullet that's in it that it's shooting that's, causing the issues.
100%.
And if you've got somebody that knows, bullets, ballistics, all that stuff, rifles, you can actually find the right load for that gun that 100%. It'll make a huge difference. You can 100%. Shoot a factory load and be all over the place, and then you find the right load for it, the right bullet for it, and
yeah. There's guys at the club.
You've got one hole.
There's guys at the club that are like, I'm shooting this Eagle, and also, the cheapest fucking ammo. It's just fucking the cheapest.
I'll raise my hand.
No, but you can't do both. You can't buy the cheapest ammo and then complain that it's a curveball every time you pull the trigger.
I don't complain. I'd say, you know what? That's a big animal. I'd hit it.
It's in the general area.
It's in the vicinity.
It's in the general area. So yeah, it's just I don't do that. I really get into I get into it and setting up the rifle correctly, and I really try and stay. I'll tell you this, man. It may sound kind of snobby, but I don't think a rifle is very interesting if it doesn't shoot like a quarter minute of angle, half a minute of angle consistently. So like if you see some of these custom rifles that are made for police snipers, like the HS Precision, obviously. There's also one tactical operations in Beverly Hills, California. Who would have thought that there's a gun manufacturer there?
In Beverly Hills, California.
Beverly Hills, California.
Is it right next to the Gucci store?
It's down the street from Rodeo Drive.
Oh,
so if you haven't,
Rodeo.
if you come to California and you want to buy a fancy gun, you go to Tactical Operations over in Beverly Hills. But make sure you make an appointment. Don't just show up there because he may shoot you in the leg.
So did you get your nails done before you go there, or what?
That dude's badass, bro. He gets basically 700 actions, the receivers. And he just has an amazing...
Turns them into beasts.
They're going a ragged hole. I've shot a couple of them. Yeah, it's an impressive gun for sure. So,
nice.
So the point of me telling you that is that guy, the manufacturer, makes it for the federal gold match ammo. That's what is like. That's what he sets up the rifle for, because he knows that that's what the police departments use. So he sets up the rifle for that ammo. Because the police sniper's not going to be making their own ammo and all that shit. They don't have time for all that.
Right.
So they'll buy the factory load, and that ammo is that rifle set up for it.
There's such a friggin' science to it, man. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's a very basic principle: concentricity. So the center, and the center. The bolt has to be in the center of the barrel, and the bullet sitting in the chamber has to be in the center of the rifling. If you don't do that, and then locking it up so it locks up tight. If you don't do that, you can't get that. That's very difficult to do. Think about it. I mean, most people think that the old school 700 actions were very popular for probably 30 years. This guy just takes them apart and resets the barrels and
And what's the place called again?
Tactical Operations
in Beverly Hills.
In Beverly Hills, California. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And he's a super, super cool dude. I haven't met him in person. I've heard of him from several people that have his rifles, and some of the guys that I shoot with, they bought target rifles from him. They're not even in the police department. But pretty much it's well known that if you want to become a police sniper, you'll put together your cash, and you'll dump down some serious coin to get one of his badass rifles, because it's the starting point for Southern California, for the people who want to be a police sniper here in California.
Got it.
So anyway, once you understand how these things work and what are the principles that you should be looking for, you start to kind of deep dive. And I tell people a lot when guys at the club, ask me, hey, what should I get? Should I get this caliber, that caliber? They all look at me weird when I tell them, like, whatever your best shooting rifle is, get another one of those. They're like, why would I do that? I'm like, well,
explain. Because
you're going to shoot the shit out of one of them. And one of them, you want to have it in tip-top condition once you break it in. Obviously you have to shoot a lot for you to wear out a rifle. It is possible. And I think the biggest mistake that people make is they get a bunch of different guns and different calibers and all this shit. And all of a sudden you have all of this stuff. You don't know how to use any of it.
Yeah.
You've got a Vortex this, you've got a Leupold that, you've got different rings on different stuff, different stocks, and you don't know how to use any of it. Right.
Well, I just got a picture from Misha because he just picked up a new 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah.
And he said he's heading out to the desert, and he had a picture of about 14 different boxes of factory rounds to see what shot best.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too is most people don't realize you got to break in the rifle. It's going to probably take about 300 rounds to break it in. You won't know how good that bad boy will shoot until you shoot about at least no less than 200 rounds.
Wow.
By the time you hit 500 rounds, you got what you got. You got what you got. And you'll know which rounds, are doing good.
Well, I'll tell you what, this offseason, I think I'm going to have to definitely hit you up and head out to the range a bit more, because everything that I'm putting in for. So right now it's tag season, right? It's what are you going to put in for out of state? Locally, you already know, the California is one of the states that when it comes to putting in for hunting license, putting in for tags and the draw, it's one of the later states. It's going to be taking place in June, so we got a lot of time. But the out of state stuff, that stuff is just moving fast. So yeah. Wyoming is done already. I've put in for a rifle tag in Wyoming.
I miss it every year. I want to do a damn pronghorn hunt in Wyoming, and I miss it every damn year.
I've got points.
No, but there's places you can buy them. You just have to. There's lots of them.
Oh yeah, I think Wyoming is a great place for pronghorn, and,
Yeah.
and you know, I haven't gone yet, but I am set up to go one of these days. So
Glenn from the club,
maybe let's set that up. Let's go freaking antelope hunting.
Glenn from the club would whack out 2 every season like clockwork, and he it wasn't a special draw or nothing. It was just an area that he had good access to, that had good public access, and he whacked out 2 every year.
So I've got an elk tag in for Wyoming. I put in for Arizona. I actually only just put in for the bonus point. No, I didn't. What did I do? I shot for the moon in Arizona, but it was a rifle tag just because the way that work is lining up, kind of coming around hunting season. Everybody knows my preference is going to be archery, but that archery season, I've got just so much stuff piled up that I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. So, you know, it's a rifle tags as it is. So I've got Arizona. I'm shooting for the moon in Arizona for a rifle tag. At Wyoming, I've actually got a we'll see how it goes because it's not like a bull tag. I'm actually going for put it in for a meat hunt in Wyoming.
Okay.
And it's rifle. And then New Mexico's actually coming up in March. So I'm going to be taking a look at that. And New Mexico's always nice because it's not about the points that you have. It's about the luck that you have and is lady luck on your side because everybody goes into the lottery and it's just a random draw. So, you know, I've definitely got to get dialed in. I've got to find the right round. I am shooting factory rounds, and I know, you know, your influence is going to is going to sway me to the other side in finding that right load, that right
and you can
grain weight,
you can
and all that stuff.
You can totally get a factory round that's ready to go. Like if people buy, like I love Barnes bullets.
Yeah,
you buy a Vortex factory loaded ammo, you shoot that, you get an inch. You're shooting an inch at 100 yards.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
And Barnes is obviously very well known, and you know they put out a quality product.
Barnes bullets are proven meat harvesting fucking ammo. It has no lead, and it gives you a humane kill, and it really does a really good job putting animals down. They break bone, they keep going. I've recovered a lot of that from the game animals over the years, and they always do a very impressive job. They don't give you that bloodshot, like purple. You know, I call it the bloodshot because if you hit them in the lungs, it takes all that blood that's in the lungs and it just pushes it into the meat, depending on the angle that you hit them. And it just looks gross to me. I always end up cutting that out, and that's like fucking dog food, you know. But sometimes you lose a lot of meat doing that. But I've never gotten that kind of scarring on an elk with the Barnes. You know, shooting with the 300 Weatherby is my rifle of choice for that.
I'll keep you posted on how it goes. I mean, the other things that I'm looking at is, you know, kind of during the not necessarily the off season, but, you know, always looking at Texas, right? Like seeing what we can do there, maybe do some hog hunting. We've got some game cams kind of out in the country looking for hogs on public land. So we'll see what we come up with. So, you know, who knows?
I definitely want to shoot. I'm going to go on a hog hunt in Florida this season. That's my go-to thing. I'm going to go on a buggy and with some dogs.
But you're not going to take a gun.
No, I'll probably take a gun. I'll probably take a handgun. But I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to get him with my spear. Yeah, I'm going to go on a true barbarian type of fucking hunting adventure.
That's savage, bro.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, it's pretty fucking animated. There's a lot going on there. So yeah, I'm going to go on a buggy and do that. There's a few. I've been looking at a few outfitters out there, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we drag Brian along.
You sure about that?
In the swamp hunt.
Get him, Brian. Shoot her.
If we offer Brian to go to Hawaii to your hometown, to go hunt, I don't think we'll get any pushback. But I'm like, hey, Brian, you want to go hunt in the swamp over there in Florida?
Brian, take off that straw hat. We're hunting, buddy.
Yeah.
Did somebody say Hawaii? I'm in.
So tonight I'm using, you know, I'm the cup guy, so I have got my Z Customs epoxied tumbler here, rifles, rods, and broads. Thank you, Chuck Zimmer of Z Customs.
Yeah. Hey,
shout out.
Hey, Chuck. I do need one of those. Seeing how I'm feeling a little bit inferior here with my smaller logo, smaller. You need little. I don't know if I put
But that fits the alcohol content of what's within the cup a lot more than what's in this cup for sure.
It's at par with my whiskey. If I make it too bigger, I won't make it at the end of the show.
So we were talking about spears and pointy stuff. So I think it's about that time that we break into the program. And Langosta, I think we feature our first unboxing.
This would be the first unboxing. But in order to unbox your knife, what you need is a knife to open up the packaging.
Oh.
So let's get you a fresh, relatively recently stoned cold steel espada to open.
Oh man. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, the bandage on the finger wasn't caused by any wrongdoing or handling of a blade. But let me give you some background story. So basically, this is going to be our first unboxing here at Rifles, Rods, and Broads. And I will tell you what we're going to box here is going to be a Montana Knife Company knife. Now, Montana Knife Company was brought to life by owner Josh Smith back in 2020. And Montana Knife has definitely intrigued me. What intrigues me about Montana Knife is just the full marketing of the product, but first and foremost, the quality of the product. Montana Knife Company makes knives. They are made fully here in America and but in Montana. So it was brought to life in 2020. And one of the genius things, Langosta, about Montana Knife Company is the fact that their marketing team and what they've done is that they've collaborated with so many people within the industry. And what they do is that they collaborate with these influencers, these real true, you know, the hunters, Meat Eater, Remi Warren, Born and Raised crew. And they've collaborated with them to create these different knives, and they create drops. So, you know,
like little small runs,
real small runs and batches of these particular knives that they collaborate and design with on these knives. And what it's really done is brought to the market of knives like this huge attention, like everybody wants this one. And I've been kind of following this company, and I've just been blown away in what they've been able to do, because they start advertising these knife drops like early on, like weeks before the knife drops. Yep. And then you've got the full-on countdown, like, oh, you know, the Meat Eater, you know, Montana Knife Company collaboration dropping in 2 weeks at this time, this specific time, and there's only a limited amount. So by the time it gets, you know, to like, oh, the ball's dropped, these things are sold out within minutes.
So it's a fever pitch.
It's a fever pitch.
So how long did you have to wait to get this one?
So to give you some background information,
were you up at 1 o'clock in the morning waiting for the clock?
So I was traveling for work. Okay, and we're at a conference, and we're at the dinner conference, and I'm like, oh man, this knife's gonna drop in a matter of an hour. I've got to put it into the cart. I've got to get ready. I've got to get ready to go, and we'll put screenshots on there. But the knife that I did end up purchasing is a collaboration between Remi Warren, who is a very well-known hunter in the industry, and he's got a new brand out there called Live Wild, and the Montana Knife Company, and it's called the Elkhorn Skinner. And when they first dropped the original release of the knife, it sold out really fast. So I was kind of infatuated with it, and I'll go into more details about why I like the knife. But you know, we're going to open it up here soon. That kind of intrigued me, and I said, you know what, let's do this. Let's see how this whole interface takes place with the Montana Knife Company and a knife drop. Well, the moment that the knife dropped, I had the color picked out. I wanted the green and black, and it was like, put it in my cart, let's purchase it, and let's go. And I will tell you what, it was sold out within 4 minutes. So
are you serious?
4 minutes. It was gone.
That's amazing.
4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. 4 minutes.
Well,
so
make sure you don't cut your other finger.
Oh my God. Like I've been ultra careful since this procedure that I've had, and I'm super excited to like open this up. And this knife just like literally.
Yeah, it's circumcision sharp, as I like to say.
Jesus.
It took you a minute to get that, did you?
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the unboxing of a Montana Knife Company. The shipping was ultra fast. I got a tracking shipment instantly. The only thing that took quite a while was actually it going through the U.S. postal system. Nowadays, as you can track everything, it was just going from like Los Angeles distribution center to Los Angeles distribution center. So this is the packaging that it came in ultra fast, and this is the first time that I'm going to see this puppy. This is a Montana Knife Company Elkhorn Skinner, a collaboration between Remi Warren along with the Montana Knife Company. And I think it's this is the box, man.
Yeah, you're pushing them up. There you go.
Here's the box.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, you got to unwrap
Here
it.
we go.
It's still wrapped together.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
I've never seen it. So this is...
It's got a little warmth blanket.
Look. So if you buy a Montana Knife Company, I'm not sure if all of the knives come this way, but you've got like this magnetized box. So, So here's the unboxing. This is an Elkhorn Skinner. It says here, country, customer, community, conservation. Our mission is to embody the best in American craftsmanship, the American worker, and the American dream. For 30 years, master bladesmith Josh Smith has dedicated his life to delivering the highest quality knives. We dedicate ourselves to a lifelong relationship with our customers to ensure our knives will be passed down for generations. We are committed to giving back to our veterans, communities, and the conservation of wild game, its habitat, and hunting access. So here we go. This is the unboxing. Literally the first time that I'm seeing this, and what you see here and what you're going to get here with an Elkhorn Skinner. You've got some collaborative stickers here. So you got the Montana Knife Company Elkhorn Skinner and Remi Warren's branding of Live Wild.
All right.
So you got one sticker there, and oh look, I've got a card here. Montana Knife Company, made in the USA,
made in America,
inspected and packaged by Clark Brylan.
All right, that's an American name.
So Clark, thank you very much for inspecting and packaging my first Montana Knife Company knife. So you get that in there, and then
ooh, it's wrapped in a warmth blanket.
Look at this. Look at what's this here on the bottom? It says the Elkhorn Skinner.
Can you open that freaking?
I'm building it up. So here we go. Elkhorn Skinner, and here on the back here.
That is the profile.
This is the profile. This is here we go. We got the Elkhorn Skinner. It is 3.86 ounces of total weight, 0.120 blade thickness, an exclusive Kydex locking sheath, stainless steel blade, retention screw for custom lock, and 100% USA made. So here we go.
See the goods, man.
Paracord. We can reuse this paracord. If Chris was here from Echo Sigma, he'd be throwing this in his pack. We've got the paracord here, and we are going to be unwrapping my first Montana Knife Company knife
in HD.
Whoa. Look at that. So this is the Elkhorn Skinner.
Oh, it comes with a scout carry.
It comes with a Kydex holder. And let me just pull this out. Ooh, look at that.
Man, look at the finish on that thing.
Look at that. So I'm going to put this in your hand shortly, but let me just go ahead and go into some of the details of this Elkhorn Skinner and what really intrigued me.
It's like a mirror finish.
Number one, I am easily influenced.
By new knife sales.
Yes. And this Elkhorn Skinner, listen, like I listened to a whole podcast of Remi Warren talking about how he designed this knife with the Montana Knife Company. And this is literally the first time that I'm holding this in my hands. And what intrigued me by it was just the size of it, for the most part, there's blades out there and they're normally about 8-9 inches, whether you're hunting. I shared with the the Benchmade that I have.
Yeah.
And this knife, what I really liked about it was just the compactness of really being out in the field and having something that was going to be light, but also had enough blade to do the job in terms of skinning, popping joints, tendons, all those things. And my favorite part, just kind of reaching in and cutting the tenderloins.
Yeah.
And this knife here, the way that Remi described it on his podcast, really intrigued me. And again, this is, I'm kind of trying to describe this thing for the first time, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh, wow, I actually bought this thing.
So it's a full tang knife with a micarta handle, right?
It's a G10 handle is what it is, and
it's got a mirror finish. It's amazing.
It's got a mirror finish, and the blade itself. Again, this is USA made in America, made in Montana by the Montana Knife Company. This is Magna Cut steel.
Shut up, that's Magna Cut.
It's Magna Cut.
Oh, that's circumcision sharp right there,
So
baby.
this is gonna hold its sharpness. Not only that, it's gonna be ultra tough. It's gonna hold its edge. And it's going to give you your, anti-corrosion in terms of the Magna Cut is just fabulous.
God, look at the polish on that.
So one of the other things, and it is mirror polished. So you can see there that it's not dulled in any way, but it is mirror polished. One of the benefits of Montana Knife Company is that anytime you can send this back to them, right, in the sheath, and what they'll do, and this is one of their founding kind of moral principles. They'll receive it, they'll sharpen it, they'll clean it up, they'll make sure that it fits nicely in the sheath, and they'll send it back to you the next day.
Wow.
So you can do that for an unlimited amount of time. And also, too, what they also say is that it doesn't matter if you're the original purchaser. You can hand this knife down from generation to generation to generation, and they'll hold true to that. So just kind of holding this in my hand right now, it's nice. It's got a compact size. What I really like about this knife and any knife that I have is really this. I don't know what it's called.
It's called a jimp.
The jimping up there on the top, just as a grip for my thumb or my index finger. This knife right here has got a nice belly size. The blade itself is 3.5 inches or 3.25 inches. So it's not a big knife by any means. The total length of this knife is 7.5 inches. And what I'm feeling in my hand right now is just, kind of, I could see myself if I'm out in the field. This has got a nice feel to it, but it is Magna Cut steel. It's got that G10. It's got a nice grip, a nice feel to it. That mirror polish, and again, that USA made, America made in Montana. That gimping up there on the top. Beautiful collaboration between Remi Warren
fondle this thing here,
along with the Montana Knife Company.
Oh, now I got to tell you something, man. All right, the question is it? Circumcision.
I haven't even tested it, so that's straight from the factory. Ooh. So what are we going to test it
right
on?
Here, like that. Bring it close up. Bring it close up. This is when you can shave your nail. Only the sharpest knives will shave your nail. Yeah, it's like fairy dust.
Look at that.
See if I get the angle right where you can see it there.
So what are your thoughts? That is the Montana Knife Company collaboration with Remi Warren, Live Wild. And I'll say, by any means, it's not a cheap knife. And again, what really attracted me to it was the size of the knife. I wanted that smaller blade. I feel like you've got more control over it. The belly on the knife is really nice. It's obviously really sharp. And just Montana Knife Company itself, the fact that they're going to be there along your side for life. And they've been around since 2020. Again, just the way that they've kind of developed their company, it's amazing.
So it's got a tapered grip, right? So it goes from kind of I can't say it's a palm swell, but it definitely tapers down, which makes it easier for you to choke up on it. Like you said, to remove the tenderloins or any of the any of the connective tissue where you have to actually put your hand in the cavity of the animal. The shape is very nice. I definitely do like the curvature. It's very to be able to index. So the idea, right? When I don't know about you, but of when you're getting a Skinner, is that it takes a long time to do a whole elk. So the ergonomics of it, the weight of it, and the ergonomics of how you hold it when you're doing the skinning process, it's important. It's an important part.
It's nice. And it looks like the one thing about the shorter blade and just the shorter knife overall, it's like you've got control of it. It's comfortable in the hand. And that Kydex sheath.
It's in there.
It's in there, man.
So it's a scout carry, right? So this is basically the direction. I would imagine you could
do it horizontally. You could do it vertically. You can put it onto, your pack or what have you. And then obviously, you kind of being a knife guy, you can purchase your own kind of customized leather if you prefer leather. But you've got that pretty much bulletproof Kydex sheath that you got there. That's adjustable as well.
Yes, I do. I have several of the knives that I have a Kydex sheath, but I'm going to tell you my only gripe with the Kydex sheath is when you get dirt in here, your knife gets scratched like crazy
because it keeps the dirt in there.
It just holds the dirt, so it ends up being like the grit of putting it in and out bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah,
it's like so for me, I would probably rotate it vertically. Mostly because I'm scared of losing it.
And it's online, and this is stuff that I'm learning from online. But you've basically got a tension screw too, so you can loosen it up however loose you want, and then you can keep it as tight as you want. That's what she said. So
one of the Skinners in Africa had a really nice Spanish mullah. I guess one of the hunters gave it to him, and he had it in the back of kind of like at the 5 o'clock position. On his back, and I was like, "Hey man, your things, it's an old leather thing, but he didn't have the top latch on." And I brought it to his attention, and he latched it, but later a few days later, he lost it. So that's just my thing. It's just like I would put it vertical. That's just me. I think it's awesome. Like as far as the quality of the Kydex, it's thick. It definitely does have a tension screw on it.
It's got a hold too.
Yeah, no, this is a nice setup. So what's the MSRP on this?
MSRP $300.
Okay,
not bad. You got your Magna Cut. You got your Made in America.
For a Magna Cut, that's
You've got your the ability to send it back, and they'll send it back to you. Their whole claim to fame is that they're gonna send it back to you the very next day. So that is the Elkhorn Skinner. Very happy with what I see, and you guys saw it unboxed here. Now the question is this box that is now empty because I have the knife pulled out of it going to be by my bedside, going to be stored somewhere, or going to be thrown away? I know many people out there, when you guys buy new stuff, it's like, okay, what the hell do I do with the packaging? The whole duck thing, I have no freaking clue what the hell the duck's for, but I'm pretty sure that this duck in the hunting club has a story behind it, and we'll probably learn more about that. But Montana Knife Company, Josh Smith, been around since 2020. You want to see the paracord?
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see what the Elkhorn Skinner does from Montana Knife Company.
I'll try not to cut my finger here.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
like butter.
Not a problem on the cutting part here.
So I'm my first impressions. I'm super excited that this knife is now out of the box, and I get to mess around with this Montana Knife Company knife. I think the only problem that I have with the knife is that it opens the door to purchasing other knives.
Well, that's the thing. You popped your cherry. You've never bought a $300 knife, have you? Apua, please avert your ears.
Yeah. She asked me about 2 times, like, hey, what'd you spend on this? And I'm like, yeah,
I got to go move my car.
So that's it. That's our first unboxing of the Montana Knife Company collaboration with Remi Warren, the Elkhorn Skinner. Maybe one of many unboxing of MKC Montana Knife Companies here to come. So
very nice. Very nice.
Wow, I'm excited, man.
That's smooth. I'm shaved smooth.
This is, yeah, I like it, man.
Well, kids, that's the sound of America waking up. Sounds like Randy's outside waiting to come on into the studios and read his mullet mail.
Is Randy outside? Do we have some mullet mail?
Yes, sir. Somebody open the door for Randy, will you?
Okay, Langosta, why don't you go get that door for your cousin Randy?
I will.
So again, everybody, thank you guys very much for listening to Life. Thank you very much for listening and tuning into Rifles, Rods, and Broads. We hope that you enjoyed this first unboxing. Again, the Montana Knife Company. If you haven't done so already, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel with the Rifles, Rods, and Broads. We are available on whatever channel that you decide to listen to your podcast, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcast, or what have you. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Rifles, Rods, and Broads. And if you have mail that you want to send to us, send it to Rifles, Rods, and Broads. Our email address is going to be mulletmail@riflesrodsandbroads.com. Again, mahalo. Thank you very much for tuning in, following, liking, and subscribing. We are actually up to 260 subscribers on YouTube. We've got a bunch of videos posted. And again, this is our 18th episode. So happy to have you here. And somebody else that we're happy to have here is none other than our close cousin, one of our best friends to the show, Cousin Randy.
JoJo!
What's up, bro?
What's happening, man? Randy here. Boys and girls, thank you. It's another episode of Randy's Mullet Mail here. And actually today, due to the fact that people have upset the shit out of me lately, I've got a little Randy's Rants. So for those of you that have been doing a nail biter and been curious about when the next redneck rant will be, it's today. So let's get into it, JoJo. You ready to go?
We're ready to go.
All right. So Randy's Rants as of February 2025. Randy hates people who don't have gun range etiquette.
Hate's a strong word.
Well, they're really easy to hate. They're easy to hate. Now, everybody's been to a goddamn gun range right now, right? And especially like I like little newbie boys over there with your little Glock pistolitas, your little tactical Tupperware, as I like to call. You show up at the range, and you like to swing the tip of your little muzzle and put it in everybody's vicinity over there. Now, that's just not right. It's just not right. JoJo, would you happen to agree that's so
wrong.
Violation
That's
of the safety
against
rules?
the code.
So my first little rant here is, please, for Christ's sake, keep your muzzle down the range, man.
Keep control of that muzzle. Protect that muzzle.
Now, for you little new queefers out here to the shooting world, and you show up over there with your little friends at the range, and all of you 17 motherfuckers with one fucking rifle, you motherfuckers can't share the earmuffs. All right, you cannot share the earmuffs. You just can't do it.
I've never seen that successfully done.
No, it's a bad idea. Mostly it causes the range staff to yell over the speaker, you need eye and ear protection. And sometimes they stop the shooting for you dumbass people that don't have the decency to get yourself a little dollar foamy.
And those gun ranges don't always have the best speakers.
That's right. So look, if you need to go full redneck, and Lord knows I know what full rednecks looks like, you can stick, if you get in a pinch, you can stick a 9mm round in your ear. And then if you do too, it's ear protection.
I've seen that done before.
That's right. So for Christ's sake, man, make sure you bring some ear protection over there, and maybe don't invite some of your little broke ass friends to shoot your rifle. This motherfucker don't have any money to pay for your ammo anyway, so all you're doing is draining of resources. All right, number 3 under Randy's Rants here is continuing to shoot after a ceasefire. Motherfucker, when somebody says ceasefire, it means stop shooting. Like, don't keep shooting.
So it doesn't mean see fire. It means cease.
Right.
Fire.
It doesn't mean I'm about to stop. It doesn't mean I intend to stop. It means don't fucking shoot the ammo that is in your gun. Just don't do that. So that's Randy's little third rant.
Sounds
Now-
like you had a fun time at the gun range.
Man, I hate public gun ranges. Honestly, dude, I really can't stand it anymore. At my ripe old age of 32, I can't stand these damn little newbie queefers over there with their little shenanigans.
Well, it looks like in this photo, you've got your own earmuffs that you got going on, so you're not sharing it with anybody there, Randy.
No. This is I don't share my guns, my ammo, or my wives, or my cars with anybody else. This is all mine. All right, the last one is you little queefers come over here with your little 22 and shoot up like 500 rounds of 22 all over the place. But please, for Christ's sake, clean up after yourself, dude. There's a range broom for a reason. It's not a decor. It's not a redneck couture on the wall. It's for you to get your little lazy ass up there and snatch that thing and sweep up your damn brass, right? So that's Randy's rants. Do you guys have any rants you want to post in the comments below? Please do so. And if you have a rant you want to share with me, please send that over to me.
Mullet Mail at riflesrodsandbroads.com.
That's right. Mullet Mail at Rifles Rods.
We got a lot of mail. So you got there another letter that was sent to us.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter, Brian. It's a love letter,
Oh.
JoJo. They're all love letters. When you guys send me little letters, that's considered a love letter.
So not only can you email and check us out at mulletmail at riflesrodsandbroads.com, but Cousin Randy does have an OnlyFans page where he accepts different kind of mail. So is this is this one of those letters, Randy?
Yep. All right, here we go. Hi, Randy, longtime fan of the show. First time writing into the Mullet Mail. I have quite a story for you this week. A few years ago, my buddy and I were in the elk woods in Colorado at the 4:30 in the morning. And we were creeping and crawling, and we got into our first calling spot, and we hear the movement in the woods. There was brush and bushes rustling. Before you know it, he pops his elk diaphragm in his mouth, and he bugles. Getting ready to start up slow, and he's a pretty good caller. He breathes in and just belts out the loudest turkey call I've ever heard in my freaking life. Well, immediately I realized what he had done and stopped. It took us another 15 minutes of giggling before we could continue. Yours truly, Renegade. Renegade, you sound like some of the fucking people that I know. Renegade, what you really should have done is send this to Randy's rants, because what your friend has earned himself is at least one gunshot of 9mm to the pinky of his left foot. If you are hunting with people that just don't have enough sense to know what a turkey call is versus an elk call, you got problems, son. You got a little bit of serious problems. It is kind of a little bit of a funny story, so I got to give you that. And thank you very much for sending in this little tattletale on your little pal.
Well, we just recently passed Valentine's Day, and that's got to be the most redneck love letter that I've ever heard.
Well, man, if you understand the language of love, you understand that it's nature. And then nature calls different ways. And when nature calls me, I got to go. And right now, it seems like nature is calling for all the wrong reasons. So I'd like to thank you guys again for being part of another episode of Randy's Rants. Please make sure you keep me employed by sending in your comments, observations, and questions.
And mail. Mullet Mail at riflesrodsandbroads.com.
Yes, sir.
Randy, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Pensacola, Florida. And Langosta, you know, he's got a big family. He is a family guy. And what I hear is that some of his family has actually gotten a bit jealous on all the attention that Cousin Randy has gotten. So, you know, I got some news that it's quite possible that we may have some additional family members maybe joining the show, but a lot more travel involved with some of them.
Well, JoJo, as you know, my old man, he was a traveling soul, and he liked to go out and go to different places, and he was known for, you know, dropping seeds and flags in various locations. So it turns out that I have a cousin in Italy that I've never met, and due to the great job that Mark Zuckerberg and all these other tech assholes do in connecting and stealing your privacy and connecting people that you may or may not know, he found us. Can you believe it?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
So it turns out,
23andMe action.
it's, yeah, I mean, we don't have a DNA confirmyou yet, but I've invited, seeing how he's Italian and grew up in Italy, half Italian, half, whatever the hell else he is. The other, it could be a third. I don't know. Long story short, he's going to do a segment for us on a beretta.
The Beretta.
Yes. So stay on the outskirts, or actually come in from the outskirts, and make sure, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe, and you don't want to miss the episode with my cousin from Italy. Yeah.
Have you got his name yet?
Man, we're still working. It's something linguini. I'm not sure.
I think you might have to do some like 23andMe before, just to kind of verify.
I mean, Brian wants to do background check and all that, but I mean, you can see the resemblance. It's not hard to. It's not hard to fight it. So we'll see how.
He's not gonna. He didn't call you with a Nigerian accent.
Yeah, he won't be Nigerian. Well, God knows that'll make a much more interesting story if he. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to be reviewing an unboxing of Berettas, and it'll be with our special guest, my cousin from Italy, Linguini.
Something like that.
Linguini rigatoni.
Linguini rigatoni fettuccine.
Yeah,
Imbotito.
One of those favorite meals that everybody likes to have.
So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I do have to put a plug out there, because when we did start in 2024, one of our mid episodes featured the Redondo Rod and Gun Club Surf Fishing Tournament. And guess what? We have the dates set for this year.
What are the dates?
If you are tuning in, the dates are May 24th through May 31st, or to May 31st. We are going to be having the Redondo Rod and Gun Club Surf Fishing Tournament, and we had a lot of fun last year. We were a sponsor of the Surf Fishing Tournament. We're going to be a sponsor again this year. The Redondo Rod and Gun Club. More information, flyers, and how you can get signed up to fish the surf here all over California. So stay tuned for more information there. This is episode 18. Mahalo for tuning in to Rifles, Rods, and Broads. Like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Aloha.
Goodbye, boys. Make sure you go to riflesrodsandbroads.com and check out our blog articles.